Greetings and salutations. Thank you for clicking on the video. Today we're going to take a look at my top 5 favorite system tools. These are things that I absolutely have to have installed on my Linux machine for me to be able to use it. And those of you who have been following my channel for quite some time will recognize some of these because I have done individual videos on all of these programs. But we got a lot of new folks here on the channel, lots of new subscribers lately, so I figured it'd be kind of fun to just do a video and recap these. So the first one that I want to show you is an application that I have absolutely gotten hooked on. I just love having it around. And that is an application called Terminator. So if you have a system running that has a GNOME-based desktop like Cinnamon, Unity, GNOME, a lot of distributions ship the GNOME terminal as the default terminal, and it's a good one, but it's very, very simple, and it really doesn't do a whole lot. You can open up a new tab, so you could have two terminals running in tabs here, or you can open up a new terminal altogether, and that's pretty much all you can do with this thing. And if you're just doing really basic stuff at the command line, like maybe installing an application every now and again or something like that, it's perfectly all right, no problem. However, when you get more proficient at the command line, you will start to want to have a more advanced terminal. And I started using this, I don't know how long ago now, and now I just absolutely have to have it. This is Terminator, and it kind of looks the same as the GNOME terminal when you first boot it up, but it has lots of great features in it. So the main thing about Terminator is the fact that you can split this up, and you can have more than one terminal running at the same time. So now I have 3 terminals running in the same window. And you're saying to yourself, well, why is that useful? I'm going to show you a couple of examples of what makes that useful. First of all, let's go ahead and close this terminal. I don't need 3. The first thing that you can do is to have more than one thing going at once on the same machine. So, for instance, you might want to watch the memory consumption for some reason. So I'm going to have this top terminal set up to run free, which is a program that shows you the memory on the computer, and I'm using the watch command to make it refresh every 2 seconds. So down here I could have some sort of process running or open up a program. So let's open up Nano. Okay, that's really not a good example because Nano takes up hardly any memory at all. But you get the point, so you can do that. So we can see what's going on there. So let me go ahead and get out of Nano, and I'll stop this process up here by using Control-C. And you can do it with a mouse, or you can do it with keyboard commands, which is really cool. So whatever you're more comfortable with, I use a combination of keyboard commands and mouse-driven commands to use Terminator. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these 2 terminals open, and down here, let's log into another machine on the network using SSH. Alright, so now I can have both machines open at once. Now I'm working on 2 different computers at the same time. I can have all the computers on my local network up and running, and I'm logged into each one. And then I can use a keyboard command here, which is the super key or the Windows key or the media key, whatever you want to call it, and G, and now all of these terminals are locked together. So whatever I type will show up in both places. So sudo apt update, and it asks for my password. And since both of these machines are Ubuntu based, I can use exactly the same tools to update everything and do it all at once. And this is exactly how I update all of my computers at the same time. I usually don't let the little update applications run in the background. I will do it this way. So that is Terminator. And Terminator has more features to it, but I'm not going to get too deeply into it. You can check out the video that I did on Terminator by itself, and you can learn more about it. Yeah, go ahead and close. Well, let me go ahead and officially log out here. So if I just type exit, it will dump me out there. And if I choose to open new terminals, but I don't want them all linked together, then I can just click up here like this, and now I'm not in any groups. You can have groups of terminals running. You could have two that were linked up, and then you could have one that was independent. Whatever works for you. It's an awesome, awesome program. Terminator. Okay, moving on to the next one on our list. I want to show you this little guy, Htop. Htop is a fantastic application, and a few Linux distributions will have this installed already when you boot them up, but most of the time you have to go get them. And by the way, everything that I'm going to show you is in your repository, so you should be able to open up your software manager or install them from a command line. So let's take a look at Htop. Htop is a program that is a combination of a system monitor and a task manager all in one. So up top here, it's showing us exactly what the computer is doing. It's showing us what the processors are doing, how much memory is being taken up, and gives us some useful information over here. And then down here, it's showing the processes that are running. So I'm going to go ahead and open that in Terminator, just so it's easier for you guys to see what is going on with Htop. And I'll show you a couple of things you can do with it. So let us say, for an example, that your computer is running Firefox, and Firefox starts to misbehave, and it locks up, and you can't do anything with it. Well, pop open a terminal and open Htop, and now we can find that process running down here on the process list. And I'm just going to do F4 to filter, type in Firefox, and now the processes that we see running down here are in just Firefox running. That's all that we're seeing right now. And so now we can highlight the first process on the list here. And then if we use F9, it's going to kill Firefox. So you see Firefox went away. And of course, since the filter's on here, we have nothing showing down here for processes for Firefox. So we can just go to the filter and we turn that off, and now we're back to where we were. This application will also allow you to reset the priorities. So if you have an application that's going to be running for a really long time, like you're converting video files or something like that, you can lower the priority as far as the system is concerned. It'll take up less processor time. You can do other things on the machine, or you can raise the priority on an application if it's running too slow and you just want to get it done. I'm not going to get into all of that in this video. You can read up on Htop, you can read the documentation, or you can go off and look at my video, whichever one makes you the happiest there. So that is Htop. Runs in a terminal, and it's available in your menu. And when you click on it in the menu, it just opens it in a terminal, so it does exactly the same thing no matter how you get it. Moving on down the list. Now, here's one that comes installed with a lot of distributions, but some don't have it. So if you don't have it, you can go get it. And I find this to be an absolutely indispensable tool to have. And this is a GUI-based tool, and it's called Disks. And I've talked about Disks in a lot of videos, so you guys might be familiar with this. Disks manages drives that are plugged into your machine, and it gives you all kinds of really groovy information about them. You can use this to reformat USB drives. You can use disks to create ISO images of drives. You can put a DVD in your system that has a Linux distro on it, and okay, let's say that you have it on the DVD but you don't have the ISO image. Well, you can create your own ISO image to store from this. You can create ISO images of other drives, and then you'd be able to restore them later using this program. You can format disks. It does not work with partitions though. So you can't repartition a drive, but if the partitions already exist, then you can format them and do all kinds of stuff. So for partitions, you would need to have something like gparted installed. But the main reason that I like it, and the reason why I keep it around, is that as soon as you open it, you get this diagnostic right here. So it's telling me that my hard drive is in good shape, it's okay, and it tells me the temperature of the drive, which is 102 degrees. That's a good temperature for this drive to run at. And also we can go in here and get more information by clicking the settings. So let's take a look at the smart disk information here. And it says that everything is within parameters. And This drive is actually quite new. I've only had this for a while. It says the uptime on this is 2 months and 5 days. So you can look at information like that. You can run self-tests here. You can also benchmark a drive. You can see exactly what the thing is doing. Okay, so let's see. Let's start the benchmark. I think it's going to probably, okay, we don't want to do a write. You can only do write benchmarks on drives that aren't running the system. So now it's going to go out and do this. So now we're running a benchmark on this drive, and it's going to give me all kinds of useful data. So if you have a bunch of hard drives around and you need to make sure that they're okay, you're like me. I always save hard drives. I get an old computer and save them or do whatever, man. I've always got a bunch of hard drives around. Here's where you can see how healthy they are, and you can do benchmarks on the drives and stuff like that. So another thing that you can do here, and this I've showed several times, is you can get to the drive settings, so you can enable your write cache, and like there's standby mode here, acoustic things. There's all kinds of settings that you can get to. The one I'm usually worried about is write cache. So that's disks, and I mean, you could, like I could do a whole video on disks. I think I have at one point in time and showed a lot of the functions in there. But this is definitely one to get to know, and if it's not installed on your distribution, then you can install it from the repositories, because pretty much every distribution has it available. And the name of the package to install is GNOME Disk Utility. Okay, so we've looked at disks. Next on the next on the list, not the disk, but it's on the disk because I have it installed, is BleachBit. And you'll notice that when you install BleachBit that you have two options here. You can run BleachBit as yourself, as a standard user, or BleachBit as root, because it has different functionality depending on the level of privileges you get it. So let's look at it for me as an individual user here. And I have never run it before since I reinstalled this, so I don't have the configuration files. So what you do is, you can ignore the apt part here, gang, if you're running as yourself, because it won't do anything. You have to be running as root to make those tools work. But basically what this is a way to clean up your system. You know, all computer systems, they have caches of information. They got browser caches and things like that. And so you might, for one reason or another, want to clean that out. You're going to do a full backup, for instance. You're going to clone a hard drive. Well, if you have a lot of stuff on your system that's been running for a while, then you might have up to 2 or 3 gigabytes of just junk, cache information. Go ahead and get rid of it, and then that will make for a smaller backup. Or if your browser is misbehaving, running slow, you might want to clean that out. So it gives you all kinds of options over here. Now, like here, for Chromium, let's go down to Google Chrome. You got to be careful what you check. All right, so if you just check this box, it checks everything. Well, you blow out your passwords, everything. You just end up with a nice clean version of Chrome, and everything's gone. So make sure that you go through this list. Usually I keep my cookies, then I keep the history, and I keep the passwords. And the only two that I actually run would be like blow out the cache, because that's taking up the most space. And then vacuum means that it will compact databases. So you can just go through here and do that. Now, if you're going to use this application, I strongly advise you to read the documentation. Learn about the application before you use it, because this can be an application that will just let you, like I said, clean out your browser cache, or you can blow out all kinds of information that you might still want on your machine, like all your bookmarks and things. So proceed with caution and read carefully. So that's BleachBit as you, and then there is BleachBit as root. So let's open up BleachBit as root, and I'll show you. It looks a little bit different. So it asks for my password. Now we're opening it up as root, and as you can see, I've never done that before, so I'm getting that same thing there. And now we can use app tools in Ubuntu or Debian based distros to clean out the system there. So you could choose apt, and that will run clean, auto clean, and many other things that are in your system. You notice that we don't have any browsers or individual programs here because the root, quote unquote, root user, who doesn't exist on Ubuntu and Linux Mint because it's locked, they don't usually open up browsers and stuff like that. So that is a very cool tool, and it will also wipe your free space. Nice thing to have around. And like I said, great tool. Learn how to use it. Be careful with it. So the last one that I'm going to show you in this video is one that I use all the time, and that is a tool called Grsync. And Grsync is available in the repos for pretty much every distro out there. And what this is a graphic front end to the rsync command. Every Linux system has rsync built into it. Rsync is it's a utility that moves files from one place to another, either from drive to drive, directory to directory, or it could be over a network. Doesn't matter. Rsync works with SSH, and you can move files across a network encoded with SSH, and it all depends on the commands that you type in. And you can do all of that stuff right here, and then you can keep a profile. So I have it set up now to where I can do a backup, and it's taking my home directory / folder and it's throwing it on my backup hard drive. The backup hard drive is not installed at this point, and then there are all kinds of options here. We can preserve the time, preserve the owner, preserve the permissions on the file. We can delete on destination, which means that if you set it to do that, it becomes like an incremental backup. You're creating a snapshot of what's going on in your home directory on your destination drive. It will also allow you to switch on Windows compatibility, which means that, let's say that you have to copy a bunch of files from a Linux machine, you have to put it on an NTFS or FAT32 formatted drive, which is going to be read by a Windows machine. Well, this will actually go through and make sure that all of the file names and everything are compatible so that a Windows user can read them. So it's very powerful application. And then we have even deeper dive stuff. Most of the stuff you don't have to mess with. And then here you can add some commands to run before and after. And the main thing that you're worried about over here is run as super user. Because if I am going to back up everybody's data that's on this computer, I need to do that as the root user. I can't do that as myself because I don't have access to that. So you can tell this to do that. So let's just give a real quick demonstration. We'll just do something stupid here that is kind of dumb. So you choose your source. I'm going to choose something out of my home folder here, and it shows you everything in here. So what do I have that doesn't have a whole lot of stuff in it here? Let's take, for instance, well, just the desktop. Well, it's not going to let me do that because it will be recursive. So I got to find something that doesn't have a whole lot. Well, I don't have a huge amount of pictures. So I'm going to choose the pictures folder here. And I'm going to tell this thing I want pictures, and I want you to copy that with all of those rules in place. And we will throw it on the desktop. And then I add this little extra slash there because what I'm telling the system is, hey, I want you to put this on the desktop. I don't want you to replace what's in pictures with what's on the desktop. So I remove the slash here, which is telling it I want to move the entire directory, and then down here I'm telling it to put it on the desktop. So if all goes well, it should copy everything in my pictures folder to the desktop, preserving permissions, file ownership, all that stuff. And then if I ever, for some reason, want to update that folder, if I choose delete on destination, then it will do that. So let's go ahead and run that because it won't hurt nothing. Now it's copying all that stuff onto my desktop. You can also go in the menu here, and what you can do is you can reverse the source and destination. So if you want to go back the other direction for whatever reason, there we go. Now it's complete. So I have an exact copy of my pictures folder with all the dates, times, and everything the same right there. If you send this through a network, it's going to be encrypted. Grsync will encrypt it through a network to make sure that nobody can sniff the data. So let's see here. What if I go here and I do, I'm going to switch the source with the destination. So now we could go back the other way if we wanted to. So it's pretty cool. I don't think I have any, no, I haven't set any profiles, but you can have a bunch of profiles set. So if you're transferring stuff from one computer to the next and then you'll be using the same tool to do something else, you can save it as a profile here. So if I want to save this as a profile, and I would go plus pics, okay, just giving it a stupid name. Now that it's saved, and I can always go back to the default. So that's Grsync, and this is actually the tool that I use to create backups. I don't use any kind of backup software. I just use Grsync with the right commands in it, and then I plug in an external drive, bam, run Grsync, and it backs up the entire system. Once you do it once, because it will do it incrementally, it won't replace what's already there as long as it hasn't been changed. A backup takes 2 or 3 minutes. So there you go. Those are my top 5 favorite tools, system tools to have on my Linux system. And like I said, I have videos up on each one. You are invited to do a search and look for those videos. Thanks for watching, gang. Next time around, probably the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to do another installment of Beginner's Guide to the Desktop. And next time around, I'm going to look at software management on Ubuntu and Linux Mint machines, because I've had 3 or 4 people who made that suggestion. At the end of the last video where we looked at file managers, a lot of folks said, hey, I want to learn more about that. So I'm going to give you kind of a basic guide to that in the next video, and that should be coming along sometime soon. Check out Easy Linux on the web. If you would, check out Easy Linux on Facebook as well. And if you do, give it a like, and also check out freedompenguin.com for lots of great articles about Linux. Those links are in the description to this video. Thank you for watching. We will do it again soon.